Welcome to Transformative Talks, where meaningful conversations meet holistic wellness. I'm your host, Chelsea Gilbert. As a massage therapist and wellness professional, I've seen firsthand how healing happens through connection, education, and self-discovery. We explore topics like nervous system regulation, mental health, body work, spirituality, personal growth, and more, all through a holistic lens. Whether you're beginning your healing journey or looking to deepen it, here you'll find inspiration, practical tools, and empowering conversations to support you on your journey. Make sure to subscribe and get ready to tune in to the conversation. I'm excited to have Regina Sloan here today. She's a mindset coach, nurse, and host of the She Can Achieve podcast. And she's up to some really cool things lately. So I am happy to have you here, Regina. You have such a great energy. And honestly, just based on how I feel every time I connect with you, every time I talk with you, I feel like mindset coaching is definitely the right field for you to be in. I don't know if you've gotten that feedback before, but it feels very in alignment with what your gifts are. So what inspired you to go down the path of coaching?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. I have gotten that feedback, and it's good feedback because sometimes I get in my head like everybody else. I'm like, do I know what I'm doing? Should I be here? Is this the right thing? So thank you. I'm really excited to be here. And what got me into coaching, actually, I was a client first. I had a lot of things going, trauma, all the things. We all have a story, right? And I was in my young 20s and I had two children at the time. And I'm like, okay, I'm having suicidal ideations. I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work. I can't leave my kids by themselves, like all these things. So I started going to therapy and I went to therapy for a long time. And it was very helpful. I really worked through some things, but it became a point where I'm like, okay, either I'm switching up a therapist or I feel like I'm just coming in here and saying the same thing over and over. Like I get it. I understand what I'm experiencing, but like I want to what do I do with this? And so I went down the rabbit hole of like, I think probably YouTube, podcasts, whatever. And I came across coaching. Actually, I think the first podcast was probably the Life Coach School, which I highly recommend anyone to listen to that podcast. Like over 500 episodes that would change your life for sure. But that one helped me to see that like I can actually feel better no matter what happened in the past. And I, at the time, was struggling in parenting. My oldest was getting into teenage years. And I'm like, this sucks. He sucks. Someone needs to like change him. And I found this woman on a Facebook group who just shared and helped everyone with their parenting. And she helped me in my DMs for like months and changed my life. And I'm like, can I pay you for this? And she's like, oh no, I just enjoy this. I'm like, no, I'm going to pay you. So I like made her take money and stuff. And then I was like, oh, coaching's a real thing. So I started hiring coaches for all different kinds of things. And once I was able to shift some things that I thought were impossible, the way I felt day to day, not allowing other people to control how I felt. My kids could be crazy and I still have a decent day. Then I think I just caught the bug and was like, everyone needs to know about this because if I can go through what I've been through and be really loving life right now, like everyone needs to hear. So I started sharing stuff and then I was like, oh, maybe I can actually have a business. And so that's where it came from.
Yeah, and I've noticed a pattern with people that are in professions that are really big on helping people, guiding people, kind of getting people out of, negative mindset or pain. It's like we all have been there. And
Hmm.
we had, some sort of inspiration or experience along the way that showed us that it's possible to get on the other side of it. And then I think that really just kind of like lights a spark. And then we're very driven to share that with people. And I love that that's your mission is to help people up.
Yeah, and I think I was, my first career is nursing, and so I was always going to be a helper. But being able to help in a different way has been really fun. But a lot of my nursing skills actually transfer right over perfectly.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So how
Hmm.
long have you been a nurse?
13 years.
Are
Hmm.
you like the trauma nurse or like where do you go? What kind of nursing do you do?
Yeah. So the first part of my career was any and everything, kind of bopping around different, units all inside the hospital, inpatient. And I spent a lot of that bulk of that time working in palliative care oncology. So I was helping folks with cancer, with their treatments, but also die comfortably. So our floor was for people to come to die. We had ALS patients and just making sure that they die comfortably, take care of their families and things like that. So many years doing that. And then I was a charge nurse at that floor. And then when I decided, like, I think I might want to do something different. Maybe I don't want to retire as a nurse. And I just kind of like, or this type of nurse, I kind of bopped around to critical care and different places. And so the second half has been in critical care. And when I decided that, coaching was going to be what I was going to do, where I was going to spend my time since 22, I think. When I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I went to contract work. So I essentially just contract with different hospitals part time in their critical care unit. So that's where I've been the last 6 or 7 years in general. And now I just it's more of a side gig, which is very interesting. But yeah.
I feel like that's a good balance to have because I am assuming that nursing can probably get pretty heavy and overwhelming emotionally, energetically, because you have people coming in that are in pain. You want to help these people, and we can't always
Mhm.
help them the way that we want to help them. So it feels like a really nice balance to be able to help people in a lighter way.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that because, yes, and it's so interesting you say that because that is people's experiences as nurses. Like it can actually be very heavy. Like your entire 12-hour shift is dealing with people's personalities, their energy, how they're feeling. And people who are in the hospitals aren't feeling amazing. So you're also dealing with them at their hardest times. And then you add their families in. But what was so interesting to me, and I think that's why the type of coaching I do it kind of transferred over perfectly is because I never really felt burnt out. I never felt like any of it was too heavy. And I don't think it's because I'm some special unicorn person. I think it's because I had a lot of my own trauma already before I got heavy into my career. So I was able to mitigate that. It wasn't as heavy as it would be for other people. But because of that, I'm naturally drawn to women who are going through really hard things and they are struggling to balance it all to enjoy their life while they're doing the thing. So coaching can be very heavy as well because it depends on the type of coaching you do, right? I know people who do coaching is like, hey, I help you with strategy and I help you this and that. And I do some of that, but the bulk of what I do is helping women to really change their entire life, which means we have to talk about mindset and what's blocking them. And those blocks are usually heavy. So it's so interesting, like what made nursing easy is what is bringing the same type of clients to me in the coaching space.
So that was going to be my next question. What are the type of people that you help? What people come to you the most? Is there a pattern that you see with the women that come to you?
Yeah. So I'm in the industry, which we would call a general life coach, which means I don't niche down to like one thing, like, oh, I help you with weight loss. I help you with this public speaking. I'm kind of like, what do you want? And I help you get that because the type of coaching I do is people come, they all have a result that they want. They want to feel better, or hey, I want to lose some weight, or hey, I want to better my relationship with my partner or my children. I just want to feel energized when I wake up in the morning. I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to turn my computer off when it's time for, to be done with work. I don't know how to be present. So many different things. But what I find like the pattern as you ask and like these through lines is that my clients have learned to really give their power away in many different ways throughout their lifetime. They, through childhood, we're taught, do what you're told. No one's taught to like go within, like, what do I want? What kind of person am I? To build that trust within themselves, to think for themselves. And so then they reach a point where we've raised children. Many of them are very successful on paper. They're doing all kinds of things and they don't feel it. They hate their life. They don't like the way they parent. They don't like the way they show up as a mom, a partner, at work. And they really feel out of control. And because their entire life they've been controlled by outside things, external factors. What should I be doing? Who should I be? And just the conformity that we do as women. And so that's the through line to help them trust themselves, make decisions because they want to, and let go of the people pleasing, perfectionism, procrastination. But once you get under that hood, it's a lot of different things like, oh, well, this happened when I was a kid, or this happened in high school, or I been told I was this my entire life. So we work through those deeper things, but that's not necessarily what brings someone to me. They're like, I just need you to change this person. And then we get underneath it. So, yeah, I would say that that's the thing. They want something. I know how to help them get it because we go through the blocks of what's preventing them from getting that result they want.
So, what are some of the biggest changes or shifts that you see in people when they start coming to coaching and doing a few
Mhm.
sessions? And what are some of the biggest things that they notice first?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest and usually earlier on shifts that clients get, and I think coaching in general helps people understand, is the difference between a circumstance and a thought. We oftentimes mix our thinking with facts. That's what a circumstance is, a fact. We're on this podcast interview. Your name's Chelsea, my name's Regina. We're X years old. Like there's facts in the world, or that person said that thing. And then there are all of our thoughts that we put on it that causes us to suffer, causes us to have issues in our life. And they feel very true. We've been taught our entire life, because our caretakers didn't know the difference either, that what I believe is fact. And oftentimes what people are believing is that's literally the reason people suffer. It's literally what's in the way of whatever they want to be doing, of the relationship they want to have. It's what they're choosing to think. And so coaching helps us to just see the difference. It's not that I'm here to change anyone's thoughts, but how you're thinking and feeling about that thing, person, place, situation is a option. And starting there it's always really powerful for people. I remember a client I had, she was probably her mid 50s. And in our work was the first time she realized that there are no universal truths, right? Like there isn't these are the rights of the world, because she lived her entire life with, what would my dad do? Because she was taught that, like her dad was always right. What he said is what you did. And she spent over 5 decades living her life that way. And so to be able to be like, oh, that was just his perspective and I get to have my own, it creates so much freedom. So that's one thing that people always come to terms with. I think they also learn to give themselves permission to want what they want and to be who they want to be. We live a life that's so exhausting to like fit in this box that we've all been put in. And most people don't even know they're in a box. It's just what we do. As a mom, you do this. As a wife, you do this. And so being able to, again, you get to keep it if you want, but keep it intentionally. Like be able to decide on purpose, this is who I want to be versus these are the cards I was dealt and this is who I have to be. It's a big difference. I'd also say I can't answer this question without saying understanding and processing emotions. I think that's one of the biggest factors that keeps women stuck, stressed, sick. So many of the diseases that people have is very much linked to their inability to process emotions out. I know you know that with your work. And so it's people have a lot of embarrassment when we're in our coaching right at first, but the amount of adults walking around and I was one of them, that have no idea what an emotion is, what it means, how to process is mind boggling. So I'm so glad that people like you and I and all the different ways we do it are helping people to move past that.
Yeah, I get that. And I was kind of in the same boat before I really started working on myself. It was just like
Hmm.
I started having big emotions and I was like, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? I don't even know what this means. Am I going crazy? It's like, no, this is normal. This is you're supposed to feel
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do to, I'm curious, like work through that back then?
So it kind of started, it was a weird transition. After I had my last child, it was kind of like something shifted where I was just like, I don't want to be working in factories my whole life. I
Mm.
feel like I have something that I can offer to the world. I don't know what it is yet. So I went to massage school. Once I started kind of just transitioning into that world, it was like, I think it calmed my nervous system down because I wasn't
Mm.
constantly, working 10 hours a day and, having, for $11 an hour and trying and struggling financially. So I think my nervous system kind of came down. And then once that happened, I was able to start processing things, but I didn't know what was happening.
Mm.
So just like being in that holistic wellness space, like I was able to kind of do some research and like find some supports. But eventually I ended up going down the road getting some EMDR
Oh yeah.
therapy, like specifically for trauma informed stuff. I was like, I think I'm struggling with CPTSD. And yeah, doing the myofascial work, going to the seminars, because when you go to
Hmm.
the seminars, it's like you have, you're trading services basically. It's like 3 days of like intensive work on yourself because it's like you're
Mm.
working on people, they're working on you. So just doing those seminars too had
Ooh.
done a lot. So just putting myself in that space of like holistic wellness and like changing my environment really shifted a lot of stuff for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned like several different things. So, 'cause, like, it's not ever just one thing. Usually, when I'm talking to folks about their experience and how they transitioned and worked through some things, I also did EMDR, and yeah, it's like, what is all the help I can get? Like, give it to me.
I feel like too, it depends on where you're at in your progress, what type of help that you need.
I
Yeah.
agree. I
Mm.
100% agree with that. Yeah. And I think it could change too. Like I've had clients that they come to coaching and we get started and everything's great, but then we hit on something that now they need to we've done it to where they're no longer like coaching isn't the best for them. So they need to go to therapy, or we bring a therapist in. I've had clients, they do both. So I agree for sure. And body work and somatic work is so important too, which I remember when I first heard about like somatic work, I'm like, oh my God, so fancy word. It's just movement of energy, right? And
Well,
so it's so interesting how easy it is actually walking and dancing and just these different things, like you said, when you're in this space that you start to learn like what works for me because it doesn't look good. It doesn't look the same for everybody.
Yeah, I've had that experience too where people either would come in initially and maybe in the moment I wasn't what they needed and then they would go and get something else and they'd come back or vice versa. We'd have some sessions and then they'd move on to something different, which is awesome. That's
Yeah.
what we want our clients to do, right?
Mhm.
We want them,
Mhm.
we don't want them to be stuck in the same spot and us repeating the same things over and over again. We want people
Yes.
to grow and change and eventually like move on, like a little butterfly,
Mhm.
like fly away.
Mhm. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
You were talking about bringing just kind of like simple things into people's conscious awareness to kind of help them shift their mindset. And I actually
Mhm.
have a story about a conversation I had with you when I first
No.
started. Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not. I don't think I told you this, but when I first started the podcast, I reached out to you about being a guest on it. And I was talking to you about, what I'm trying to do and the people I'm talking to and my timeline. And I remember you said something like, how did it go? I was telling you that I was going to be posting it, but I was waiting until I got like so many episodes or so many
Oh,
recordings or
yeah.
something like that. And you were like, why are you waiting? And I stopped and I was like, huh, why am I waiting? And it was like, that was all it took for me to go, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and get this started now. It was so funny. So that's a really good example of sometimes just hearing the right thing in the right moment from someone that's, looking from the outside and seeing the whole picture. And then your mindset can go, you know what? You're right.
Yes, that's so funny because, like, I get in myself in trouble. Like, I take myself as a coach everywhere, so I'm naturally curious. So I probably just, like, literally legit, like, "Why are you" It's so interesting
Yeah,
to
I don't
just
think, yeah,
say
you weren't in coach mode. It was just like a legit question, like, why not?
what is happening? But I agree with you. I think that for me, because I also live in integrity, like I sell coaching, I sell people on the idea of coaching. I think it's the most important thing we can do if we want to have a wonderful life and get beyond our own limits. But I also have my own coaches, several of them. And I like to speak about my experience on that. Like I can only get as far as my brain is going to get me. And so every time I'm coached in a space where someone can hold space, whether it be processing really hard things that's going on in my life or like, oh my gosh, there's this really amazing thing that I'm blocking myself from experiencing. Help me through that. And oftentimes I don't even know that I'm limiting myself. Like it takes someone on the outside to help to show me that. I've heard before, like I didn't make this up, but I always tell people you cannot fix almost impossible, I should say, to fix a problem with the brain that created it. Like we just can't get beyond our own thoughts about something where someone comes in and asks a simple question. It's like, I never saw it that way. And that's happened so many times. And I think that's a difference between when we think like, my gosh, like I'm doing all the things and nothing's working. And I think that's the big difference when we're trying to do all the things alone, we're just doing all the things with the brain that's also keeping us from doing that very next thing. And bringing in another human being can shift everything.
Yeah, we need a change of perspective a lot of times.
Hmm.
So you were talking about, you have coaches and you still have those moments where you need to talk to people and have like help guiding yourself. And I noticed on your Facebook, you were talking about a recent thing where you were reaching out because you're starting to do something different and new and you were kind of doubting yourself a little bit. So could you talk about that?
Heck yeah, yeah. So I want to first, in case I forget to say it, I personally believe, it's my personal thought, that I will always be working through something, which means I will always have support. Like I don't see my work, my life, and the things that I'm working on as like, oh, I get to this place. And like, okay, I'm good. Like as soon as I reach something, I'm going to immediately be working towards something else because I think that's the human experience, especially women like us. They're like, we want to do more and more. We're so creative and multifaceted. And so I think it's a lifelong journey for me. But yeah, I have this opportunity. I did a couple of segments with the parent squad here at Indianapolis at WTHR, and it was so fun. And they reached out and was like, hey, we think it'd be great if you come and do like a ask the coach type deal. And parents send in questions and we answer them. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like there was no doubt in the moment. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Let's get on the calendar. How can I tell everybody about it? And like literally the next day, everything shifted. I was like, it was so interesting because I think what started it, I think my 16-year-old said something to me and then we had like this spat and I'm like, my God, what am I doing? I am getting ready this week to go on this show to talk about being a parenting expert. And I don't even have my house together. And my kids are this and this and this. And then just because I have a normal human brain, my brain went down a rabbit hole of all the reasons why I wasn't the person to be in that experience. And so because I've done this work, because I go first. I don't ask my clients to do anything that I'm not doing. I go to my support and like, hey, this sounds like it's a great idea. I felt good about it yesterday. I think I actually can help some people, but I'm getting ready to cancel and tell them they need to find someone else. Like, help me through this. And they lifted me up. They reminded me, like, hey, no one ever wants to talk to anybody perfect. You're the perfect person because you've got stuff going on. So go for it. And I worked through my own mind drama, realized what was true, and that is true. I'm like, I don't want to talk to people who have it all together either. And we went and recorded our first segment yesterday and rocked it out, and it was so fun, right? So that's just how the brain works.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how often is that going to be airing? Is that like a weekly segment or?
Yeah. So currently it's on a monthly basis. People can submit questions either to Felicia Lawrence, who is the person who brings me on, and we record there. I think the parent squad is like on YouTube. That's where they have their biggest segments.
Uh-huh.
You can send them. It's very easy. You can comment on any of my posts with questions. You can comment on hers, or you can DM us. So we got some really good questions. Yesterday we talked about one person was we had three different questions that we kind of did a deep dive on. And one's like, "Oh, I'm getting ready to have a new baby, and our mother-in-law is thinking she's going to come and take over." Like, we don't want that. What do we do, right? And this is a very relatable thing when you have a fresh baby, everyone wants to be around, but you're tired, that kind of thing. Another was like, what are those boundaries you set with like teens and adults? Like, you want to help, but they also need to be learning their own things. So how do you know when to give advice, to nudge them, to, that kind of thing? And there was a third question too. But what I love about this segment is, one, I love the opportunity to go into a space and speak on something and also not be perfect and be true about that too. Because what I know, like my clients, they have ideas and they want to do some things and they feel like A, B, C, D, whether it be their life, time, energy, themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, like, I'm still working on myself. Like, what does that even mean? That they think that these things need to happen before they use their voice and they move forward.
Uh-huh.
And so it's so cool when I have the opportunity to show what that looks like, to be imperfect, to have stuff going on and still take that step and show up and serve someone, right? To the best of my ability in that moment.
I love that you talk about not being perfect as someone that's helping to lift other people up because we're all at different points in our journey, right? You've done a certain amount of work on yourself. I've done a certain amount of work, and maybe the people that come in to see us haven't done any. Maybe they're at ground zero, or
Hmm.
maybe they've just done a little bit. So it's almost like we're all at different points and we're just kind of lifting up. But then that comes to that point where when they're at our level, maybe they need to go on. Or if we're constantly working on ourselves, we're trying to stay one step ahead of where clients
Yeah.
are. And
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier when we were talking before we started recording about social media, about some of the negative aspects of social media. And I think one of the negative aspects is influencers that are selling something, telling you they can help you with something. It's like they do put forward this idea of perfection many times.
Hmm.
And I guess there's that idea of you don't want to be taking advice from someone that hasn't been there or someone that isn't working on themselves. But then there's this whole thing about like there's this destination of I'm going to be fully healed or I'm going to have everything at some point. So, what are your thoughts on that? On just social
Yeah.
media projecting all of that onto us?
Yeah. You know what? The truth that I think the truth is that sells. There are people who, well, let me take two things. One, that sells. I think there are people who that is their belief. They want to be perfect. They're constantly working on themselves. They haven't run into someone like you and I yet. They're like, oh, you don't have to do that. We can have a great time and be imperfect. They haven't even heard that. That's not even entered their wheelhouse, which is why I think it's more important that we continue to share. Like, oh, did you know this? Like, because when people understand something like that, like I'm doing that with my clients every day, like helping them to see something differently. So I think that one, that's happening because it sells. I think that also I have seen and I know people who have several hundred thousands of followers, all the things, and they're making $0. So I also think there's a world in which we like to consume, but there's a difference of who we consume and who we pay, who we decide to show up and bring our full selves to and break down on a call, as my clients do in coaching. There's a difference there. People know, like I have people that I watch, like, oh my God, her house is so perfect. She's so organized. I love how she writes the videos, da, 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 da. But I would never think to like, my gosh, let me coach with her, like talk to her about how imperfect I am. Like, it doesn't even, you know what I mean? So I think they're two separate things when we think about what each of these accounts are there for. A lot of them are there for following, and I'm not against that. I'm one that's probably going to have a big following one day. I'm not against that, but what are they using the following for? And not everyone is here to build a following to help people transform their lives. Some people are here to entertain. Some people are here to give you ideas of your room space. Some people, are here to just riff. They don't even care about what you have going on. They just like to talk. And I don't think any of it's bad and wrong. I think this is where we have to take radical responsibility for ourselves and cultivate our feed. I hear oftentimes like, oh, I hate social media. It's so much drama. I'm like, how? If you hate it, then you know that you can change your feed. Like you can put anything that's not supposed to be there. It's so funny because like my family, we have this group chat and they're always sending these reels. I won't click on any of them. You will not have me click on a link and now Trump and the Ice Age and the World War VII, like none of that is coming on my feed. They're like, did you watch that reel? No, I didn't. I looked at what it was titled and I'm good. Right. So this is us taking responsibility of like, what do I want to see? And then I have people who are funny, like again, like entertain me, right? I'm scrolling because I want to be entertained. But when it goes to like who I'm going to give my money to, my energy to, and help me move forward, that's not what I'm looking for when I'm on there doing that. So I think that there is a bit of like black or white too. And this is coming from me too, where I love social media. Like I love it. I also think there's things about it that is really hard. I think that anytime we create something amazing, like AI in many ways, we also create problems to solve, right? And so I try to do my due diligence and I have kids too, and I get worried about them as well. But we have to see it for what it is. I think that it's not going anywhere, right? It's not going anywhere. And so cultivating a way to like, how do I want to use social media to my advantage? What does that look like? And it looks different for everyone else. It looks different for everybody.
Yeah, and I think for most of the world, social media is a big influence, and I
Yes.
love that there were a couple things I can't remember what you said now, I'm gonna have to go back, it's like, you should put that on a T-shirt, that's a great quote."
I'll have to listen too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back, but that in general, that's just really sound advice, especially if you're trying to help people switch their mindset. Just getting them to realize like their environment itself has such a big influence, and there are certain aspects of it that you can change. In that same arena, are there any practices or is there any advice that you would give to people that's kind of like blanket advice that can help them switch and change their mindset around things?
Yeah. Since we're talking about social media, one thing that's really been helpful for me is to not pick my phone up when I first wake up. And people may have like heard that, but are you actually trying that? Because I would hear it, I'm like, I know I shouldn't, and I would pick it up. And it's not to me that it's bad. I think from my experience, when I do that, I'm now pulled into the world, other people's business. Like, of course, when you get on social media, people are posting about their life, what they have going on, that kind of thing. And I feel like those precious moments when we first wake up really shift the trajectory of our energy through the day. And so, what has been helpful for me when I abstain from grabbing my phone, I always grab it, as my brain does, grab it, turn the alarm off, and then my brain wants to go to an app, just put it down, get my morning started. Without that, what I find is it helps me to connect with myself, that inner voice that we all have that's always much quieter than the world. And so, when I can do that, I feel like it anchors me into this different energy than when I'm like, I wake up, I'm barely woke, I get on social media, I start scrolling. I, of course, have notifications. So I go down a rabbit hole of that and this and that. Next thing I know, I'm thinking about this person, how I should have did this. And I'm a horrible parent. And my God, I was supposed to do like the experience because I was like trying this for a minute to see, is it really different? The experience is vastly different. And so that's one thing that we can all do. We all control when we pick up our phone. And if we have to pick up our phone, we don't have to go to social media. I've had clients learn how to, there's an app that is specific around to what they're working on, like how we feel, talks about emotions. You can watch videos on that, affirmation apps, different things that help you. Yeah, I got to pick up my phone. I'm working through that. But what am I doing on the phone has been really helpful. I have discovered the power of dancing this past year. I've done a few videos on it. I've always loved dancing, but I never tied it into healing. I never tied it into elevating my experience. And I was actually listening to, that Dancing in the Moonlight, that song. I didn't realize in that song the other day where he said something to the sorts of like, you can't be in a bad mood moving your body. He didn't say those words, but that was the point of the lyrics. And I was like, yes, like I had been seeing that and talking to people about that and like have these ideas like, dude, like when I do these gatherings, like let's have dance parties. Like we don't even need to talk. Like let's just move our bodies because you just can't do that and not elevate and not heal and not move emotions out. I oftentimes get nervous when I'm speaking. I have a group workshop I'm doing for a company at noon, and I'm very nervous about it. And I put one song on, whatever my favorite song, I dance, and it shifts my energy. It gets me ready. And that's something we can do anytime. You can do it before bed. You can have different types of music. Another thing that's not actually doing something physical, but if people just begin to watch their thoughts, Michael Singer is an author and speaker, and he can be a little dry, but he is very powerful in helping people to see you're not your thoughts at all. Zip zero. They're just clouds in the air, and then we just grab onto to many of them throughout the day. But when you can get to where you're noticing yourself thinking something, and you just like just be like watching yourself, like, and you're like, wow, no wonder I feel like crap at the end of the day. Look at all the thoughts that I like, you suck, and this person that. Da, da, da. I'm like when I begin doing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on in here? But when you do that, then you start to actually create space. And then all of a sudden, your thoughts start to lose their weight. And we get to decide, is that something I want to keep? Because it's not actually me. Do I want to keep that belief? Do I want to hold on to that? And you can do this with relationships, yourself, the scary thing you're going after.
That's actually something that I in the same wheelhouse of what I talk to my clients about is taking 10 minutes a day, at least 10 minutes a day to check out, reconnect with yourself, move
Mm,
your body, go out into nature, meditate, do something to like just pull yourself out of all the chaos that
mm,
is the world
mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that and in doing that, I'm like, you know what? Like I do that, but not consistently, like I tell my clients
Mhm.
to do. So
Mhm.
I kind of want to challenge myself to do that. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's difficult. If it's not a habit already and you're trying to intentionally, consciously make that habit every day, I don't know what it is. It's something in there's something in your brain like that is just kind of fighting against you a little bit. So like when people
Yeah.
do that, when they try to incorporate like the simple things, it's not even anything complicated. It's like 10 minutes a day. You say that and you think, that's super easy. How do you help people get over that, whatever it is in their brain that is holding them back from creating that change?
Yeah, and you're so right. It seems simple, but what's so interesting is the part of our brain that we're dealing with when we're trying to change a habit is essentially what we're doing. It doesn't go off what's simple and what's hard. It literally sees anything different as hard. So when it's like, I'm going to wake up and not touch my phone when I first wake up, I'm going to take 10 minutes every evening when I get done with work. Like it's just 10 minutes. It's very easy. But your brain's like, this is different than what we've done before. So this is hard. This is impossible. Why are we doing this? This is stupid. Because our brain, I tell my clients all the time, which I didn't make this up either, I got it from somewhere, that our brain, its job is not to help us thrive in this life, it's to help us survive this life. So it doesn't care about you having all this extra brain space and feeling so relaxed and connected, and it doesn't care about any of that. It's like, let's just sit on the couch, eat cookies, watch Netflix, and just do the same thing every day. And so anytime we try to change something, it's going to be difficult. So I think first that awareness is really important because what I find is that people tend to blame themselves when they can't do something and they tend to make it mean like I just can't, I suck, I this and that, and that actually fuels that part of your brain that goes and doesn't do the thing. So just noticing like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be hard. I think the other thing I'll share is we've got to get really clear on why. One thing I've been really curious about in watching myself is I, for a long time, wanted to be a person that walked every morning. I thought it was cool. I was like, there's so much benefit from it. All of my mentors do it. They talk about how much power is in it. Couldn't for the life of me get myself to do it. But now it's a regular practice. Even when I fall out, get right back in. But it's a regular practice. And I was thinking about how did that happen? And it's because I started connected to the reason I wanted it to happen, not because it looked cool and my mentors are doing it and they said I should. Those things are so like surface level. They won't hold you up when your brain's like, it's early, I'm tired, I don't care, I'll do it tomorrow. You've got to have a reason stronger than you. And so, how I got myself to do it for a first week straight, which was, I mean, it might sound shallow to other people, but for me in the moment, it was strong enough, was that I was like, I'm hosting this week of self love. And I am going to challenge myself to do something I've not ever been able to do before because I want to walk in integrity with helping these women to see you are the greatest asset and you have to show up for yourself. So that was a strong enough reason that I got up every morning during that week of I was live coaching, doing all kinds of things at 6 a.m. and I walked every single morning without being able to before. And that helped me to see that reason was so strong for me. And I'm also seeing that with weight loss. Like I've struggled gaining, losing weight my entire adult life. And what I'm noticing is my reasons are great. It would be cool to have this nice body that I want to have, and I don't want to have a stomach and flat abs and all that. But that's very surface level. Like when it's time to eat something that's really good, I don't care about it in the moment. So, like creating again a really solid reason for me and anchoring myself to that is how I get myself to do it. And I'll lastly say that I think that what ruins people on anything they're working on is this false idea that they're going to do it and they're going to do it right and it's going to look the way they want it to look, i.e., perfection. We all think that's how it's going to be. So the moment it doesn't, right? The moment I don't walk, the moment I don't do the thing I said I was going to do, my brain then tells me that this isn't possible, that there's something wrong with me, that something bad has happened. Where in actuality, every single goal we have is imperfect. It's actually in your success plan to fail, for it to not happen, for you not to feel like it. And so I think when people get to understand, they're like, oh yeah, this is part of the process. I'm gonna have days where I don't do it. It's not a problem. Then they're able to get themselves back up and do it again the next day.
Yeah. And I think, just like you said, like reframing your mindset to understanding that failing doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I feel like
Hmm.
for me personally, anytime something doesn't work out, I try to view it as an opportunity for learning something different. What did I do wrong? What can I do right the next time? How can I do this differently? Instead of just beating myself up for not being able to make it work.
Mm.
Yeah. So, mindset.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when we see it as part of the process, I just find that that was really helpful for me. Like, oh, I'm not going to do this thing right every time. And as quick as I can get on board with that, then I can keep moving forward. But many of us think it needs to look a certain way. And then when it doesn't, we give up.
So I've been asking everyone that comes on here as a guest, or like before we wrap up, are there any words of inspiration or recommendations or anything you want to put out there for anyone who's listening that you think may be of benefit to them?
I wanted to say earlier, when we were talking about different things people can do. I'm a big proponent of what are you putting in your mind? Because we're just everywhere we look, we are being sold something. And I think that we could do a better job of controlling what we're being sold. And so what I mean by that is like if you're struggling with grief, okay, are you listening to people who have worked through grief? Are you getting support from people who can help you through that? If you have a goal to lose weight, what are you listening to? What are you watching? That kind of thing. If you want more time alone, are you learning how to do that? So I'm a big proponent of like, my time is super valuable. What I listen to, what I give my energy to, it better be dang good. And so I find that many of us don't do that though, because we weren't taught that. Like we're taught to like go to school, do the thing you're supposed to do and just listen, right? Versus like, oh no, anything I listen to, when I'm on social media, if I'm watching your reel, that is a very valuable 3 minutes. Does it serve me? Is it what I want to be listening to? Or am I just falling to whatever the cards hand me? So I think I would remind folks that they are responsible for their experience in more ways than they ever thought. Two other things I want to share about like different ideas and different things people can do. I don't know if you've heard of creative mornings.
Mm-mm.
So I really love this group. They are worldwide now. And I think it started in New York where this lady was like, hey, we're all creatives. We need to get together. And so they started doing these meetups. Well, now fast forward, there's, a national creative mornings. And if you go on the website, there are thousands of many different types of classes. Like people are just hosting these classes, adults that like, I was on one last week. It was street wisdom. And he like helped you like when you're walking outside. It's like thousands of us on this call. When you're walking outside, like he walked you through this process to help you during your walk or your interaction in your house to find wisdom from what's around you. And it's just not something we think about. I did another one where she was helping you to interpret dreams. So it's like 1,000 different ideas. And these people who are creatives, they come and it gets you out of your world, gets you connected with other people. There's like live gaming. There's so many different things because as adults, we tend to let that creative side go, but we're all creatives. And to connect with other people who believe that has been so fun. So I love their virtual. I love there's probably 1,000 classes today. They're also in everyone's city as well. And so like we have one in Indianapolis where it's a in-person meetup once a month. It's always a Friday morning. You have coffee and you get to connect on like so many different topics. And that's been really fun. So I'm always thinking like, we're adults. Yeah, we have to be serious, but how can I have fun? What is fun? I'm always looking for fun. And so that's one way if you're like, I don't know what I like. I don't know what's fun. What should I do? Find a creative mornings online or in person and just get yourself connected to other people. Because I do think that we heal and we grow in community. And people who don't do that, there's usually something there that they're avoiding, that they're isolating for a reason because we're communal people. The other thing I'll share, because you talked about, there was something you said that sparked this. I don't know if you watched the show Shrinking.
Mm-mm.
It's so good. It's on Apple TV, I think only, but it's about this guy who's a therapist and he started breaking all the rules because he was grieving and like started just telling people what they needed to know and all these different things. But one thing that was on there that I've done and been doing and it's been really actually working is when you're grieving, you're going through a tough time. We all have to like go through life. We still have things we got to do. They say 15 minutes, but I even tell my clients one song, like just one day. They say on the show, it says 15 minutes, play the saddest music you've ever played in your life and just cry it out, grieve it out, set an alarm. The alarm's over, go on through life. And if you really allow yourself to open up and really feel whatever's coming up for you, you will feel better. You will start to feel better. And I want to share that with people because a lot of times people come to me because they've been struggling for a long time because we have been told, you need to figure it out. You don't need help, you and this and that. And one of my things is for people not to wait until they're dying to reach out for help. Like, we don't have to wait until it gets to that space. But if someone is that way and they're like, I really need help, but I can't get myself to do that. This is one way that you can help yourself when you're dealing with hard things. Of like one song, once a day, letting yourself feel it, and then go on about your business and do what you're doing. So that's what I would share is my advice and thoughts. I think it's really important that we all have support that looks differently for everyone. But if you're doing life alone, I truly think you're doing it wrong. And I don't really say there's a lot of things that are wrong in this world, but I do wholeheartedly believe that.
Yeah. And as you're talking about that, I definitely think the whole, I guess this isn't necessarily just like Western world. I feel like this is like very specific to America, where it's like
Hmm.
me first, I'm number one, gotta look out for number one, gotta do what's right by me. Like, and which it's good to, have awareness and like make sure you have your boundaries and people aren't like stepping all over you. But it's just created over, generations. And I think now, like the younger generations and our generation, it's kind of like it's come
Yeah.
to a point where we're like, we can't continue to live like this. But like everyone's just pushed everyone so far away. Like that whole idea of like
Yes.
nuclear family and like no one exists outside of that. And it really is detrimental just to, as a species, humans as a species, we are communal and we do rely
Hmm.
on other people. And this is a big thing that I've noticed is like touch is so important. And we've kind of, everyone just like, no one wants to experience that in a way outside of these or people are super close to me or people just aren't aware of how to be intentional about it and like
Hmm.
put forth their whole heart and their being into like I care about you and I'm going to give you a 20-second hug sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think that's like a whole nother riff, right? Because it makes total sense when you think about like how are these things created. Many people growing up didn't have safe touch. If they were touched, something they were even abused, getting spankings, whooped, whatever, and or like something to that nature. And so a lot of people don't even know what it's like to experience safe touch, to experience communal support. I was just on a call with a client through some hard things, and she, to the life of her, she has not been able to, and which is what our work is, to accept the support that's around her because she's never had safe support is what she called it. Like I don't know what that's like. And so it's just like a lot of what people are doing is really to protect themselves and they think that it's normal, but it's really just a way of dealing with trauma that has happened in many different ways for people.
Yeah, we could definitely talk for we could go down so many different tracks with this and it would be
For
such a good
sure.
conversation.
Hmm.
But I appreciate you so much for coming on here and chatting with me. And I'd love to have you on again at some point if you're open to
I would
that.
love that. Heck yeah. This is awesome.
Yeah. I've got so many, like you listed so many different resources that I'll link all of these in the bottom. I'll have
Good.
your link tree down there. I'll have the Parent Squad YouTube. Life Coach School podcast. You mentioned Michael Singer was.
Yeah, he's got a
There's
couple of books. The Untethered Soul is like, whew, it just helps
a,
you with your whole mindset. It's a deep one, but when you read it and sit with it, it's really good. He has a
yeah.
podcast too, but if people want to check out his podcast, he has so much information to share about our minds and how it works.
Yeah, that's awesome. And also, if you're watching this and you're interested in getting coaching from Regina one-on-one, she does offer free consults. So that'll be on her
Hmm.
link tree too. So those are always
Yeah.
nice. It's good to know if you're a good fit with somebody.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. I'd be happy to have a conversation. I like to learn about my clients. I'm not a best fit for everyone. And so it helps us to see, like, what are you struggling with? What do you want? And in that conversation, we get clear about what we'll do together and if it's a best fit for you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being on here. I appreciate you so much and all your
Thank
wisdom
you.
and inspiration. So, all right.
Thank you. I'll see you on here next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Transformative Talks. Be sure to follow along on your favorite podcast platform and connect with us on social media so you never miss a new episode. A quick reminder that this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended to replace medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you're a holistic practitioner, wellness professional, or someone with a healing journey you feel called to share, I'd love to hear from you. Visit our website, listed below in the show notes, to learn more and to connect. Until next time, keep growing, keep exploring, and keep embracing your own transformative journey.